What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. Sorry, we're going live a little bit later than usual. Dealt with some technical issues, but we are good to go, and we are ready to cover you on what just happened. The Blazers win their sixth straight after dealing with some travel issues heading into New Orleans. They did not fly in until right before this game. Still end up getting the win on the second night of a back-to-back. You had Dame time once again. Damian Lillard finished with 43 points and 16 assists. A phenomenal game. He tied his career high in terms of assists. This was a phenomenal performance by Dame to further catapult himself into the MVP talk. The Blazers have won 8 out of 9, including their 6th straight, to move. They're in 4th place in the West right now. This is going very, very well, man. I don't know. Is my mic? Am I on webcam mic? Let me fix that. As I said, yeah, no, that is not what we want.
How does my mic sound, everyone? Does it sound okay?
Fine. I know how my webcam mic sounds.
Yeah.
It's having fits right now, and now my webcam's frozen. So I'll be back. Eric, you break down. I'm gonna get a let's just get you on the screen. And here we go. We're gonna adjust on the fly. Let's just get you on the screen, and you break down this game until I've gotten things fixed. All right? Does that sound good?
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Have fun.
Yeah, I'll try.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for staying tuned through the technical difficulties. But Blazers win their 6th straight. It's awesome to be saying that. Looked a little bleak there in the second quarter, but Dame with just like an absolutely monster performance. He had over 40 points and 16 assists, tying his career high. And yeah, just a great win. I felt like really terrible in this game either, so I'm not going to go off on that as much this game. There's some minor things you can gripe about, but that could be said on any game. But yeah, once again, Dame is our savior. I don't understand why other coaches do not just completely take him out of the play on when there's only a few seconds left. And I mean, if I was an opposing coach, I would just be like, you know what? If Gary Trent or Melo or whoever hits a shot, I can live with that, but I'm not going to let Damian Lillard beat me, and I would double team him before they even inbound the ball. But thank you, Stan Van Gundy, for not doing that. It's very nice of you guys to always allow Dame to beat one-on-one coverage here in the last few seconds. But this guy is just unreal. When he's at his best in the clutch, and you can just always count on him to make the right play. Whether tonight we saw him on a possession where he could have drove and shot, but he found Derek Jones Jr. for a lay-in. He makes a move on. He makes a move at the end there, gets past Lonzo, and it gets to the cup and gets an and one on it. And then he's going to make the free throw as well. This guy's just amazing. He's playing at an MVP level. He's absolutely carrying our franchise like he has done for years. And it's just a thrill to have him on our team.
Yep. How does my mic sound? Chat? Because I think was my mic playing normally for you, Eric, or what was the deal with that?
Through Skype, it sounded normal, but I listened to it on YouTube and it sounded bad.
Yeah.
Sounds good now.
It was not my mic. Okay, good. My mic was having trouble. Like it has a light on it when it's plugged in, and the light was on, right? Meaning it's plugged in, but my computer wasn't recognizing it. So that was the issue. So it defaulted to my webcam mic, which I know is absolute garbage. So appreciate Eric covering for me there. Yeah. Let's just start from the top, man. We are ready. I think we're ready to go. I don't know. Everything's going wrong technically, but it's I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that the things that are going wrong are with our stream and not the team. Because this team is on a roll right now, man. You got 8 of 9.
6 straight. This team, looked a little tired tonight. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think they looked pretty tired tonight. But it was something that is a bit excusable. Second night of a back-to-back. They didn't fly in until right before this game. I wasn't going to necessarily make that an excuse for anything, but that is the reality. That is what happened. And they still find ways to win games, right? Sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it's pretty ugly. You had some stretches of just very poor defense, and it kind of reminded me of a little earlier this season. But they still find ways to win games because of Damian Lillard.
Yep, and this man just carries this franchise. The degree of difficulty on some of those, like if you shoot like a standalone three in the NBA, even that's a hard shot. But like to do it on the run and from as deep as he does sometimes. A couple of those threes, the one in the corner in the first half where he has like a step back fadeaway from the very corner of the court, and then the one prior to that one where he shoots like a flat-footed 30-footer like it's nothing. Both shots this guy makes.
Yeah, it's hard to even put things into words, man. This is just someone you got to watch to truly understand what he's doing right now. There's no way to even properly contextualize what Damian Lillard is doing on the basketball court. Phenomenal, man. I mean, the dude is the clutchest player in the league. People like to debate that, but having watched Damian Lillard year in, year out, nobody compares, man. Nobody is as clutch as Damian Lillard is. It's insane to have somebody that is going to come up big when the game is tight. And the Blazers now move to 12-3 in close games. They've won a ton of close games. They're 7 out of their 10 losses weren't close, because every time they're in a close game, they win, which is pretty nice, man, because not only are close finishes like exciting, I mean, I kind of rather just blow out teams and just relax and go into things that way. But close finishes are entertaining in a different way. They're exciting, and we're pulling out a lot of them. So it's not really of the heartbreaking fashion. Whereas last year I felt like we had a few heartbreakers, and this year it's just Dame time and time again coming up and stepping up clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. Blazer 2K with the $5 donation says, I only got to watch the last 8 minutes. Why do we have a ton of back-to-backs?
That is the case for every team, as the schedule is a little bit more condensed due to it starting in December and needing to finish by like mid-July.
Didn't we only have like 4 in the first half, though? Mm-hmm. I know it seems like we've had more, but we had one of them taken away, and then it added one when we added the Washington game to our schedule after the Milwaukee game. But yeah, I don't think there was a ton of them. It just feels like there is.
And we now have 2 days off after this too.
We don't play till Saturday, so
I would have rather played the 16th, 17th, then have 2 days off, go home, play the 20th, than to play the 16th and 18th and only have 1 day off in between. So the schedule is just kind of crazy this year. I'm happy that we don't have many consecutive games against the same teams. A lot of other teams have that. Have a lot of those. So overall, man, this game was, I don't know. It's hard because like I don't want to make like their situation today with the travel issues and whatnot into an excuse, but it's also like hard to really be too hard on them about anything. And there was some ugly moments in this game. There was some serious stretches where they struggled to manufacture good shots, and Dame wasn't necessarily hitting his contested 30-footers, but like. If Dame isn't hitting contested 30-footers, but the rest of the team is struggling to get better shots than that, you can't even fault Dame for missing them. It's just like, I wish we could get better shots. But then, it's you can get away with relying on Dame to just do everything for you. And I think this game proved that. The dude not only has 43 points, but 16 assists. I would love to see how many points he manufactured on his own with those assists plus those points. It's at least, 65, it's probably more if you account for threes and maybe him getting guys in good positions to get fouled and get to the free throw line. Dude accounted for more than half our points, and it's just you can get away with throwing him the ball, having him isolate, and having him run pick and roll, and not even doing anything. And that seems like that's what we did in this game, and he came through. Would have liked to have made things a little bit easier on him. It's a second half of back-to-back for him, too, and he's coming, flying in right before this game, too. That's not easy on him, so it would have been nice if we could have, made things a little bit easier on him, but he's the type of player that can step up and take the challenge head on and just will this team to wins.
And we were just talking about this last night, where he's been in that sweet spot of having really good games, but not having to really have a monster game, and this was a monster game, and we needed every point of it, obviously. But this is what's great about him not having to do it every game, seemingly like he did last year. This game he can pick his spots, and he got hot early, which is something he hadn't done in recent games, and then in the clutch, he's going to close it out. But yeah, we definitely needed this type of game, and he definitely had some passes where it led to fouls, including Simons got fouled on a 3, Cantor got fouled in the middle of the paint. So we did get some free throws in addition to all those assists he got. But yeah, just anytime the guy shares the ball that much and can score over 40 points, it's
business
just,
in the front.
I mean, this guy he can do it all, man. And this team, I'm just so glad we're winning these type of games, and we have a win streak. We've played, other than Philadelphia, this win streak has included, I think every other team has been under 500. So it's good that we're actually winning these games, and we're not looking back at the last 6 games and saying, we lost a couple we shouldn't have lost. We're actually winning those games, and it's just a really good feeling.
Yeah, believe it or not, other than Philadelphia, the last time we beat a team that is currently over 500 was January 1st, a month and a half ago. So it's not like we're doing this against the best competition, but what have we always said? You need to win the games against inferior teams. Even if your shots aren't falling, even if things aren't going your way, even if it's the second night of a back-to-back, even if you have some injuries you're trying to sort through, you have to figure out ways to manufacture wins against teams that are inferior to you. And the Blazers have done a phenomenal job of that lately. Last year, they didn't do that at all, really. They do it here and there, but nowhere near as consistently as they should have, or they needed to, because they in my opinion, should not have been the 8th seed in the West, even with those injuries, and the roster wasn't that good. But it was, they down the wire would make serious mistakes, and we've made some mistakes, Luka leaving him wide open for 3 when they're down 3, and Luka didn't make us pay, so some of it does come down to chance in situations like that, but we're doing a much better job of just figuring out ways to win, coming up with a clutch defensive stop here and there, and we didn't have many of those down the stretch, but when we're struggling to defend, coming up with serious buckets, and Dame has taken his clutch game to even another level this year than it was last year. Believe it or not, which is a very hard standard to raise for him because it's already at such a high level. But the last possession of the game, great defensive possession there. They did not let New Orleans get a good look. Lonzo Ball shooting a 30-footer, 32-footer. Yeah, he's not Dame, and he proved it. He's not Dame. You live with that shot for sure. And then they do get the rebound because it goes short. The ball hits front rim and goes long. But then I think it was Carmelo did a great job running Brandon Ingram off the three-point line and forcing him into a 2, which, you can live with a 2. It goes to overtime probably. A 3 beats you there. So that was a great job.
Stayed in front of him and made him shoot a really tough turnaround.
Yep, that was a great, and that was like a great job from all 5 guys scrambling there and playing hard on that final defensive possession and getting a big stop to secure the game. Last year maybe you got Brandon Ingram, maybe he doesn't get ran off the 3-point line and maybe he shoots a 3 and makes it. So things like that will be the difference at the end of the season, because at the end of the season it will come down to a game or two between us and a couple other teams, right? And everybody wants to say, oh, it's okay if we lose, it's only 1 game, but it normally comes down to 1 or 2 games. And the deciding factor in 1 or 2 games is oftentimes a couple of possessions. So it literally comes down to doing the extra things, doing the little stuff in 1 possession here, 1 possession there, can make a difference where you're seated in the playoffs, and that can make a difference with a potential run in the playoffs. It all adds up into something meaningful at the end of the season. So I'm very happy that this team is just figuring out ways to manufacture wins and are currently sitting at 18-10, because that record sounds really nice, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. 18-10, nice. Yep. I'm so happy that we are not struggling to be around 500, and it's questioning whether we're going to be in the playoffs. I feel like we're solidifying ourselves. We talked about the separation last night. Denver loses again tonight, which we'll touch upon later. But like the top 5 seeds are starting to pull away from the rest of the pack, and it's nice to be a part of that instead of the part of the pack that's being pulled away from.
Yep, I agree. Let me thank PS3 Nintendo for the $2 donation. He says, does Dame want a ring this year? I think he wants a ring every year.
Yeah.
Is he still the problem, Nintendo? Because, I mean, we still remember those comments you were leaving after what, the Knicks game? The Knicks game? I mean, hopefully you don't think Dame's a problem anymore, bro, but I appreciate the donation. Yeah, it's important to win games against Western Conference teams too. So a game like this, New Orleans is struggling now, but they might go on a run later, and that might be one of the teams we're battling against. You don't know. So it's always nice to create more separation, because we are now currently 6 games ahead of them. We lose this game, we're 4 games ahead of them. You know what I mean? Like, it's instead of us winning and them losing, they win and we lose. So it goes from 5 to 4 instead of 5 to 6 if we lose this game. So that's the thing. One single win against a Western Conference team creates 2 games. It's a 2-game swing in the final standings, and oftentimes it comes down to that. So every game against a Western Conference opponent is meaningful, and that's why it's important to take care of games like this one, when this team could have easily just been like, oh well, we've won a lot of games, right? We've talked about this team, having some success and then getting complacent and being satisfied, or seeming to be satisfied. And they could have easily done that. And, we're going home after this. We have a couple days off, and we didn't fly in until right before this game, so this is going to be tough. And New Orleans dropped 144 last night. You know what I mean? But, yeah, New Orleans played last night. I'm just saying, like, it would have been very easy for this team mentally to not be locked into this game. And there were stretches where it was like, what are we doing? We look asleep. But overall, this team locked in when it needed to, and locked in enough to be able to get the win. So very, very happy with it.
Yep. And then shout out $5 donation by Andrew Miller. Do you think trading for Drummond would be a good move? I saw some random article talking about it. Nurk, Zach, and picks for him. Good win. Let's go. Okay, so no, it'd be a terrible move. First of all, that move doesn't even come close to working, so we'd have to throw in another salary, like a bigger salary, because Drummond makes like $28-29 million. Drummond is not better than Nurkic. No matter what his stats say, he's not a better fit for this team, and it doesn't make sense to go after a guy making that much money that isn't even better than. I'd rather have Cantor right now. You said that too. Yeah, I'd rather have Cantor as our starting center right now than Drummond. So.
Yeah, so Drummond, plays for a month, and then all of a sudden he's our third string center and doesn't play.
They're talking about trading Nurk and Zach.
Oh yeah, no way.
And we don't have picks to trade it. Either,
No way. I would rather have Nurkic than Drummond. Drummond is extremely overrated in my mind. The dude can't finish. The dude is somebody called him the Russell Westbrook of centers. The dude is shooting like 55% on layups. He struggles to finish. I think his defense is overrated. I don't think he's a good defender. He's like if we wanted Drummond, why wouldn't we just bring back Hassan Whiteside on a minimum contract and not trade anything out? Because that's who he reminds me of. So the Drummond trade rumors, I wouldn't put any stock into them. I don't think we're interested at all. Anybody reporting that, it's just they have false information.
And this is what's happening. We talked about this on Blazers Uprise Live. It's basically, Portland needs a center and Drummond's available. I guarantee you Portland would want them. That's like a national media's perspective. So then it's like, Portland's interested in Andre Drummond because they think we need a center or whatever. Where if we traded for a center, like you said, a guy like Hassan Whiteside, we could just bring him back. I'm sure Sacramento would just give him to us because they're probably sick of him by now. And he could have just as much of an impact as Drummond would. And he already was in our system and all that kind of stuff. But like that's not the kind of guy that would help this team. I don't think, especially with the way the roster is constructed this year.
Yeah, I appreciate the dono. Andrew, shout, Kyle Wilson, $2 dono. Dame is the NBA MVP. That is all. It'll be interesting to see where the media has him in the race. They'll probably continue to sleep on him, but they have to pay him some respect after this. And Blockboy does make a good point. Tori, you always say when it's our guys, gotta let it pan out based on his prior years. Drummond is not a career 55% finisher normally. That is true, but I mean, you're going out and getting a guy who does what at a high level, because even before he was a decent finisher for a center who shoots the majority of his shots on the interior, but he can't shoot a jumper, right? He's not a good free throw shooter. He can facilitate a little bit, but his defense is extremely overrated. He is not a better option than Nurkic, and he's not a better option than Kanter, in my opinion. I've never really liked his game. And that was before he struggled to finish this year. So, yeah. I mean, he should improve, hypothetically, but he, looks like he doesn't care out there, he's not mentally locked in. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Drummond's game.
Well, part of the problem, too, is his contract. So,
yeah, we're having to trade out $29 million.
Yeah, you have to trade out way too many pieces of your rotation to get up to that contract. Yeah. And you can't just throw in a bunch of young guys or whatever and trade for either, because they don't add up to enough salary. So you're talking about guys who are actually making a difference on this team and having to trade them out. Because, like I said, Nurkic and Collins, you could say, oh, they're hurt. It wouldn't hurt us to lose those guys. Yeah. But we'd have to trade another player, too, out with those guys.
Yeah, we should talk about trades maybe at the end of the stream or on an Uprise live stream. Let's get into this game. So what do you, we always start with the team stuff. How would you, summarize the way the team played today?
I thought they battled. Zion's a really tough matchup for us. I mean, Rocco tried his best, but that guy's really hard to stay in front of, and he's deceptively agile with his body and the way he shifts and stuff in the lane. So I thought we played Brandon Ingram really well. I didn't like how Lonzo has been shooting the three really well over the last few weeks. I didn't like leaving him it seemed like our game plan was to just sag off him and make him shoot threes. I didn't like that strategy. He got cold. He was really hot in the first half. Their whole team got a lot colder from three in the second half until the very end. But yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think we're doing enough scheme-wise long term, but right now it seems like it's still trending in the right direction, even if it's slowly. So I'm not going to complain too much about it. I felt like the guys were trying hard. They lost focus a few times, but it's becoming less and less each game, which is nice to see as well.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, it's hard to summarize these where a team has a lot going against it, because we're not one to make excuses, but at some point, it's a tough situation they're in with the travel. Mentally it messes with you, right? Normally you have a routine going into road games and whatnot, and it messes up your whole routine. Still gotta go out there and play basketball and try and do the right things. I thought the ball movement was lacking in this game, and it was fine because Dame stepped up and had a superhuman performance. I just think we could have won this game without requiring 43 points and 16 assists from Dame if we did a little better job of moving the ball, and if we got guys easier shots, because our shot selection was very difficult in this game.
I thought in the third quarter we started off pretty well, moving the ball, the Ant and Melo pick and roll. One time Ant passes it between two guys to Melo for a three, and then a couple possessions later, Ant passes to Melo, and then Melo skips it over to Gary Trent for an open three. And then shortly after that, we have a possession where the ball gets skipped all the way around to the corner, and Hood has a wide open three, and he just misses it. But those are the type of possessions where if they result in not scoring, I am totally fine with, because everyone touched the ball, we made the right passes, and we got a great look for three. So if we got those kind of shots more consistently, I would sit here and say, look, they're getting great shots, they're just not going in. But it's frustrating when we see that, like, we get good shots when we do that kind of stuff time and time again. And that's why I never understand the people who say, oh, ball movement doesn't translate to wins or whatever, assists don't translate to wins, because you saw a stretch there where we actually were playing really good sound basketball and everyone was getting good shots, and then they go around right away from that and start going one-on-one again, and it almost costs us the game.
That argument, my whole thing to shut down that argument is if the team started moving the ball like the 2014 Spurs, the same people that would be saying that argument would instead be saying, Stotts is such a great coach, look at how they're moving the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a disingenuous argument that's not based in much fact. Shout out Near012 for the $5 donation. He says, I like the roster as is. I think this year Olshey proved he can build a roster. Let's see what he does at least until the end of the season. And, I mean, we were saying after the offseason, Olshey did a really good job this past offseason. I'm saying it now. You know, are we lagging? Or is that just me?
It was just temporary. We're
temporary. Oh, yeah. Little hiccups.
Oh, now we're lagging again.
Hopefully it's
now
not some you're gonna be stuck on repeat there. Hopefully the lag chills out. We don't need that right now. I mean, Olshey could win Executive of the Year. I think it's definitely possible with what he did this past offseason. And I don't know. I don't know which is more likely, Olshey winning Executive of the Year or Stotts winning Coach of the Year, which, I don't know. I don't think necessarily Stotts would deserve it no matter what, but it's I think honestly, if anybody deserves an award, it would probably be Dame for MVP if we really do that well, because we're only doing that well because of Dame, for the most part. Stotts has this team playing better, so we're not as critical on him. But you also gotta give props to Olshey for what he's done building this roster. You want to touch on it?
Yeah, just we talked about this last game too, but just the fact that we have so many players hurt, and we're still putting out teams and rosters that are more talented or just as talented as the teams we're playing. And I know a lot of that has to do with Dame, but there's been so many other contributors to the success in this run. And it's a testament to how deep this roster is and the players he brought in.
Yep. And then shout out Andrew Miller for the huge $50 dono, man. Appreciate it. He says, Andrew? Does Dame need to do more than players like LeBron, Westbrook, Curry to get MVP due to the team's small market status? I feel like Dame actually deserved it during the Western Conference Finals run. Deep playoff runs can't be the difference if Westbrook gets it twice. I mean, sometimes I feel like that, but also if Dame continues to do this, I feel like the media is going to fall in love with like the underdog small market story, because you've had Giannis win it the past couple years, like Harden ain't winning it there in Brooklyn. Like, you got LeBron, right? And the people are going to continue to push him, but like the MVP race is kind of wide open right now. And if Dame continues to do this, you'll have people catching on and people pushing his narrative, in my opinion. And honestly, right now he has to be top 3, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how that unfolds itself. But like, Westbrook averaged a 30-point triple-double. You know what I mean? Westbrook did the most stat-wise to get that MVP.
Right, and he only won one for the record. But so it's voted on before the playoffs. But the thing is, it's impossible for people not to let previous years factor in. So like, you see Dame like struggle in the playoffs maybe, and then they're like, oh well, he's not MVP worthy because, and you see that same thing with All-Star Game sometimes too. It's like it's a carryover from last year in some cases. But so a little bit of that has to do with deep runs. But I will say Westbrook, the year he won MVP, not only did he have a triple-double, but it was the year Durant left, and Westbrook, the narrative was that Westbrook carried that team to the playoffs and basically had them in a spot to compete even without Kevin Durant. So you're looking at this year, and you could say Dame's in the same situation when CJ went down. Dame is absolutely carrying this team, and a team that a lot of national media didn't even think we'd make the playoffs, and we're all of a sudden, if we're fighting for one of the top seeds or home court advantage or whatever, they absolutely will have the narrative, whether it's a small market or not, that this guy is the reason why.
Yep, agreed. I'm curious as to, like, because I'm not on Twitter right now, I'm running the stream, right? But I'm curious as to, like, what, if Dame is getting his respect. You definitely don't have the clowns out there, the Steph fans, the Russ fans talking right now, because they can't, This might be a better game than either two of those guys have had. Steph had a huge scoring night against us the second time we played him, but he didn't have 16 assists. The 16 assists is very impressive.
Yeah. Blockboy says, Kendrick Perkins said, tell me what player is more important for his team than Dame right now. And I challenge anyone to give us an answer to that question that's not Damian Lillard.
Yep.
We're obviously going to find out. LeBron, you've mentioned this before, that without AD, he's going to have to take on and carry that team. So we'll see if he can do that or not. Steph Curry is obviously carrying the Warriors right now, but they're fighting for the 8th seed right now. So if we're I don't want to hear any of these people who are like, oh, Dame's not that good, they can't even be 500 and they barely made the 8th seed last year. I don't want to hear any of those people then give Curry love for getting the 8th seed this year.
I know. Yeah, double standard.
Just don't be hypocritical, yeah.
I always feel like there's been a double standard between Dame and Steph. I mean, Steph has won championships too, but different situations.
Yeah, so I don't think there is a more important player for his team than Dame. And if we didn't have Damian Lillard, I mean, we'd easily be a lottery team, and we might be down with Minnesota 100%. For one of the worst teams in the league. Yeah.
And what's funny is we beat the Pelicans by 2, a Pelicans team that is below 500, and we have our superstar playing like a top 3 player in the league right now, probably. Pour 43 points and 16 assists to win by 2, right? And people, you got those people out there that are just praising the coach as if Stotts poured in 43 points and 16 assists. A lot of this is Dame, man. A lot of this is Dame. You have the team that is 12-3 in close games, and a lot, though, the deciding factor in those close games is Dame just doing superhuman stuff. I mean, you look at the Bulls game, man. In what he did the last 10 seconds of that game, there is no way we should have won that game, and we blew a 20-point lead, right? So that's a win that, thrilled, but that's a win that's just Dame manufactured. This one, I'd say, is a win Dame manufactured. The Dallas win is a win I'd say Dame manufactured. Like, Dame gets the credit for a lot of this stuff, right? You have people that just look at record and ignore context and just want to heap all this praise, but I mean, Stotts is doing a fine job lately in my eyes. He has the team improving some of the issues that we were critical of him on for not helping the team improve. Like, it's funny how us saying, 10 games ago, Stotts isn't doing a good job because this team shouldn't be making all these silly defensive mistakes and this team should be moving the ball better. It's funny how when those defensive mistakes improve and the team moves the ball better and they start winning because of it, somehow we were wrong. If anything, we were right, man. So you got people like Portlandia in here coming with his self-righteous crap, and it's just tiresome. I'm just tired of that type of stuff coming in here saying, man, it's laughable that people are being hard on Stotts. Like, man, your takes are as laughable as any, and we don't say that in regards to what you say. So I think it's kind of messed up that you're coming in here acting self-righteous, acting, you're on your high horse. And if anything, we were right because, it's a debate for another day. But I'm tired of that crap. That's why people just give you a bunch of crap in here because of the way how self-righteous you act when you come into chat and post that type of crap. So,
well, if you saw me laughing earlier, it was his comment that he said, how else can you explain it other than Stotts that we won, like that we're good in the clutch?
So bad.
It's like,
it's so dumb, dude.
Is this man Damian Lillard? Like, so yeah, Stotts hit like a 37.
This dude is Stotts' burner account.
With Paul George in his face, and Stotts hits a 3 over Lauri Markkanen to win the game. Like, no, come on, man.
Yeah, broken play off a jump ball. Oh, what a great play Stotts drew up. He helped them win the jump ball. It's yeah. So don't come in here like trying to trash other people's takes, man. It's tiresome. I'm tired of it. You can come in here and say your takes, but don't be disrespectful or self-righteous about that, because you will get checked at the door. And we've won argument after argument after argument with you. I'm tired of winning arguments with you. I wish you just chill. You can state your opinion, but quit. Don't be an ass about it. Shout out Jared for the $3 dono. He says Dame's trending 5th. Last I saw, yeah, Dame trends every game, even if he doesn't have a big game. I don't know why, but for a small market guy, he's talked about quite a bit.
He's got haters on it.
And then shout out Near012 for the $5 dono. He says, Stotts winning Coach of the Year speech. Quote, we just made shots. I mean, honestly, I'd want him to just be like, you know what? We got a lot of shooters on this team that hit a lot of shots. Without them hitting those shots, I wouldn't be winning this award. Because that would actually be the truth. Anyway. What else do you want to touch on from this game in terms of the way the team played?
So the whole like not giving him credit thing, like it, I don't get it. I just don't get it, because like we both said, there wasn't a lot to nitpick from Stotts in this game. I mean, we're not acting like we normally do towards Stotts right now. I don't understand how, like, we can't... Like, Stotts was fine. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be, like, bash him tonight. But, like, Dame absolutely took over this game and had an incredible performance. And Stotts... Yes, he allows him to do that kind of stuff, but like
any coach in their right mind, any coach in the NBA would allow him to do that.
It's not coaching to say, "Here, Dame, go do something," and that's not coaching, man. That's anyone can do that. So I'm not going to give Stotts credit for Dame having a big performance when it was just 2 games ago. Portlandia, I know you missed the last couple streams. Damian Lillard actually said on the post-game show that their offense down the stretch is just, Dame, you do what you want. And that's what they do. And that, yes, you can say, but like anyone could do that. They don't need a coach to do that. The players are smart enough to figure out that Dame should have the ball or whatever in those situations. So yeah, like any level of basketball would be able to figure out that that's a good strategy. So I'm not going to give the coaching staff credit for doing something that is completely obvious.
It's just such a silly conversation. Like, after this game, you get, you know, 1, maybe 2 guys that come in here, and it's just Stotts, and that's all they can talk about, and that's all they can focus on, that's all they can think about, and then they start just trying to, you know, put other people down and act self-righteous and just act like a clown and all that crap, man. When you look at this game, our defense wasn't good. We gave up 124 points, right? We gave up 47% from the three-point line. Our offense was literally just giving Damian Lillard the ball and having him create literally everything. So where is the good coaching in that, man? I don't see it. It's ridiculous. But you got people out here that must be relatives or something of the man, you know. I don't know. See, and that's the thing. I didn't even want to come in here really focusing on the coaching, because I don't even necessarily. I don't have any like criticisms. I don't have many criticisms from this game. I don't have many positives, right? But you have these people coming here, and it's like, all right, fine, we'll say that we're not giving Stotts credit for this, man. But I mean, everything we speak is facts. Like, people don't do a good job of like disputing the context behind the stuff we say.
Well, yeah, there's 2 things to that. One is, so he says every coach does that in the clutch or whatever. Okay, fine. In the clutch is not what we're necessarily talking about. Yes, people let their stars play hero ball in the clutch. I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing to do every time, but with Damian, he's proven that it is or whatever. And that's fine. So like, if every coach does it, why should we give credit to Stotts for doing it then? That doesn't make sense.
The problem is he had to do it all night long, you know what I mean? And it's like, it wasn't really a complaint because Dame had it going, so you just give Dame the ball and let him do things. It wasn't necessarily a complaint. It's just like, it would be nicer to maybe make things a little bit easier on him where he didn't have to have such an insane performance. Like, we lose if Dame doesn't drop 43 points and 16 assists, and we lose to a team that is inferior to us, right? It would be nice if we, didn't require that of Dame just to win, a game against an inferior team. And there's a lot of games this year where we require so much out of Dame in order to win games against inferior teams, that it would be nice to make things a little bit easier on him.
And here's the other thing, too. Okay, for one, we're talking about situations where every game pretty much is close, right? So, we're talking about the first 3 quarters leading up to this. Why do we have to be put in this situation where Dame needs to save us all the time? There are ways we could get better to not have to rely on Dame's heroics or not blowing 20-point leads and stuff like that. And then second of all, we weren't bashing Stotts at all. We weren't doing anything. And you guys are the ones bringing him up and forcing us to talk about him and doing all this stuff. So, you're the reason we're now, having to defend or talk about the coaching again. We weren't even going to go off on that, like Tori said. And why even bring it up if you guys don't want us talking about the coach? Because you know how we feel about the coach. We do not think he is the right coach for this team. Whether we win 18 games in a row or lose 18 games in a row, I do not have faith that playing this style of game will win us a championship. And I believe this roster is good enough to actually contend, maybe not win, but contend and go deep in the playoffs. And if you think that same way, if you think that's right, then a couple of regular season games right now do not mean anything if we do not change the style and be prepared to play in the playoffs. And we didn't want to talk about this tonight, but you guys keep bringing it up even when we don't want to talk about it. So why are we supposed to? How are we supposed to address it if you guys are always griping about it?
It's weird when people create a conversation where they know that they won't like what is said in that conversation. Why are you creating a conversation you don't like? Because you don't like our opinions on him. And that's perfectly fine. You don't have to like our opinions on him, but I don't know why you basically bait reactions out of us for on that. It's ridiculous coming here saying, "Oh, these takes are laughable." Man, my takes on the coaching are based on 5 years. All right, 5 years. And winning 8 games out of 9 is not going to change my opinion on a coach, which is based on multiple 82-game seasons. Right? It's based on 400 games. Not 9. 9 games is not going to change what I've seen in the past 400. Also, a lot of the question marks are postseason based, because we've seen this team do well in the regular season and then completely fold in the playoffs. So a lot of my critique is okay, it doesn't translate from the regular season to the playoffs. So doing well in the regular season isn't going to change my opinion on that. I need to see things translate well to the playoffs, and I need to see better adjustments. There's still a lot that remains to be answered. But I like the way the team's playing right now. And I think the team is improving things that I said they should be improving. That you people said, "Oh, well, there's no way they can improve it. It's not Stotts' fault. It's just the players," right? But I was telling y'all, no, it's not personnel-based things. These are mistakes that can be fixed. Which was a more optimistic take than anything, I think. It was a more optimistic take than anything. And guess what? We're fixing those things. And now we're winning games, right? So, but to me, it's just Stotts is doing his job. If he's helping the team improve defensively, that's what he's supposed to do. That's not really going to amaze me, so to say, and it's not like we're beating great teams. If we had a hard schedule, we definitely wouldn't have won 8 out of 9 games. I mean, other than Philadelphia, our last win against an above 500 team is January 1st. So we're taking care of business. We are improving things. We are on a much better trajectory than we were 15 games ago. All right. We got to continue that. And this is just the start. So I'm not sitting here I don't understand people that are sitting here "Oh, well, now, see, this proves something in regards to the coaching." There's still a lot of questions for me. There's still a lot of critique for me that needs to be answered. So.
And then, so Blockboy says if we blow a 20-point lead, something has to be the players' fault sometimes. It can't be the players.
We criticize the players all the time.
And here's the thing. Oftentimes, what happens is, one, we're doing things great, like moving the ball and using some better schemes on defense, and it goes great. And then they pressure us, and we just go right into the double teams, or we have a lineup where we're just going ISO and not moving the ball at all, and we lose our lead because of it. It's like clockwork that most of the times when we blow a big lead, it's because we stopped doing the things that get us the lead. And I'll completely disagree with Blockboy. He makes this argument time and time again that effort is not a coaching thing, and that ball movement is not a coaching thing. It's something that either players have or they don't have. But you look at a game like the first time at Philly when we didn't have a lot of our star players, and you could tell the game plan going into that game was, let's move the ball, get guys good shots since we don't have guys who can create or as many creators that we normally do. Let's run some plays, let's run some offense, do that. And they got great shots in that game.
And won easily without Dame.
Yeah, people like Melo and Ants and players like that who aren't known as passers or whatever were passing the ball and sharing it. They were looking at guys. As soon as they caught the ball, they were looking to pass. It's a mindset. And I want the second unit to have that mindset. I tweeted this out. That should be their mantra, is ball movement. And if they just go into a unit when they don't have Dame or CJ playing, and they're like, we're going to share the ball and get a good shot every time down the court, I think the second unit would thrive and be like completely dominant against other second units.
Yeah.
But instead, we just take turns going one-on-one often, and it never really works out unless someone like Melo gets super hot from the field, which he has done a few games recently. But like, it's not always going to be there like that.
Well, just look at last night. First half, that bench unit moved the ball beautifully. Anthony and Nasir were dominating, getting. Yeah. You know, Simon shot a couple tough shots, but he got good ones. He got a couple good catch and shoot looks that got him going. Nasir Little got a couple good catch and shoot looks that got him going. You know, I thought the bench unit moved the ball, did a very solid job of moving the ball in the first half, dominated. The second half, they struggled because they got stagnant and were not manufacturing good shots. It's you know, and that's what helped blow the lead. Like you said, it's like clockwork. We see something that works, and then we go away from it. So it's like we're going to criticize if we're doing something that works and then we go away from that. That's going to be our critique, right? You know, I want to see us blow a 20. Well, I don't want to see us blow a 20-point lead, but like I want to see the type where we're doing something that works and then we keep doing that at the same level, but then we blow a 20-point lead, because I don't think that's really possible. You know, it might get down to 10, but it's like ball movement works with this team for a reason. Right, and you get higher quality shots, and you're less prone to have huge shooting slumps. That's just simple common sense. That's just simple logic. You know, and if you're locked in defensively and not making defensive mistakes and running the right things defensively, then it's unlikely that the team is going to all of a sudden go from shooting terribly to shooting amazing and scoring 20 points in the first half of the fourth quarter. Normally, it's stuff that we can control that we go away from that causes these leads to fail. So I want to see the time where, you know, we're still trying to do what works, and just all of a sudden the players just like fall apart and can't make a pass, can't make a wide open shot. At that point, then I will blame the players. You know, at that point, then I'll have nothing to say about the coach. You know, oh, we're still moving the ball well, but we're just missing completely wide open shots, and we're running the right schemes. You just have these guys making all these silly mistakes. Like, That's when it will become a player critique, and we do criticize the players. You know, it's people weigh things differently between what is on the players, what is on the coach. I feel like we do a pretty reasonable job of properly weighing what is, you know, the responsibility of who.
Yeah, and the effort thing too. When you have players like Nasir Little, who only played a few minutes in this game, right? There's no excuse to not have the players who are playing have effort, because we have an issue where there's probably a lot of players on this team that think they deserve more minutes, or who are just waiting for a chance to prove that they can handle more minutes. And so when you have that situation, it is coaching to say, hey, you better give more effort in this situation, or you better bring it. And that's why we've seen the effort improve lately, as we're still obviously missing CJ, Nurk, and Collins, but overall the team has still like 9 or 10 guys that can play in the rotation if given minutes. So you're seeing the effort pick up over the last couple weeks because players are realizing that you have a guy like Little sitting there not getting any minutes who's just waiting for his opportunity. And if he gets a consistent opportunity, he might not ever give that back to you. So it's kind of a necessity thing. And if you coach that way, like, hey, you better pick up your effort and stop slacking off on the backside of rotations or closeouts or whatever. Otherwise, I'm going to play a little over you or whatever the scenario is. Then that can absolutely lead to better effort by the players on the coach, and that is absolutely a coaching thing, I think.
I mean, how you want Stotts to go about that, maybe not quite in that fashion where you're threatening guys. I don't know. There's just, as a coach, good coaches know how to get the most out of their players. You get the best effort out of their players. That's something that coaches learn how to do. And for some teams, you have to do different things in order to motivate guys, in order to get the best effort out of your players. But I'm so happy that I haven't had to complain about effort the last 9 games or so. Like tonight, it's like there was moments where it was like, dang, it seems like we're not trying. This is weird. Before it was like, it was weird when we did try. Now it's they've given consistent effort the past 8-9 games. Now it was weird to see like moments where, oh wow, this team seems to be a little tired, But like to me, it was, the circumstances make sense, with the travel and second night of back-to-back. Like you kind of expect that, it's not, and I'm not holding Stotts accountable for necessarily something like that, where it's like the team normally, at least the past 8-9 games, has given good effort. Very, very happy with that I don't have to complain about that. And then like the moments or the games where they have sort of lapses, they have some other circumstances that may be contributing to that. Second night of back-to-back, third game over road trip, fly it in right before the game, whatnot. So, that's not a coaching critique for me there, because this team has given consistent enough energy, and the only lapses today, I think, was just due to them being tired due to their circumstances. So, I mean, we're not really criticizing Stotts necessarily for this past 8-9 games, because a lot of the things that we were criticizing him for that was missing are now showing themselves. We're seeing the defensive improvement. We're seeing guys improve their rotations. We're seeing improvement with effort. We're seeing more ball movement. It's still not necessarily 100% where I want it or as consistent as I want it, but we're seeing better ball movement, especially with the bench unit. There's times where it struggles, but early in the season, dude, the first 10 games, this bench never moved the ball, man. It was just mellow isolations to death. So there's been improvement. So that's why this team is winning games. And I told you, if we improve these things, this team will still win games with these injuries. I was 100% right about that. So
we talked about that all last year as well. That these are fixable things, and that's not an excuse for why we are blowing teams to like the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors when they're missing all their starters and stuff like that.
100%. And it's I'm so happy that this team is. I'm so happy that we're not having to complain about the same issues, because it was getting repetitive. Even in a win, man, like, that's the thing. It's like, these wins are, there was times where we struggled in this one. In last game, we had a very bad stretch there for 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. But overall, like, a lot of our wins, it's like we've been much more consistent, and our lulls are far fewer. And I don't know. It's just a different feeling around this team, and this team seems to have more confidence, be more locked in. It seems like I don't know if the mentality of this team has shifted, so to say, but there just seems to be a different attitude. Guys seem more emotionally invested in the game. Guys are getting hype. It seems like these guys are enjoying playing hard right now, enjoying playing the game of basketball. Whereas I don't know if I could say that the first 20 games of the season. Since around game 18, 19, since when we got, blown out by the Bucks, that was the last game before winning 8-9. Like, up until, after that game, it's like something switched with this team. It's like something changed with this team in terms of their mentality or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but do you guys notice that, chat? And do you notice that, Ari? Like, do you get that feeling as well, or is that just me?
Yeah, I think, because after that game, I think that was the game, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Chad can correct me on this, but I think that's the game where they were kind of questioning why they were so bad at defense, and I think it was Quick who mentioned to Damian Lillard that they were 29th in defensive rating, and he was like, really, we're that bad? Like, that's on me or whatever. So maybe it's just like something got to them that night that they're like, you know what, this is unacceptable. We need to improve this, and hopefully they addressed it. It should have been addressed sooner than that, but yeah, ever since then, you're right, they have been a little more locked in than they were.
Yeah. So,
and I just want to put this on the record right now. I will say this 100%. I will sit here and praise Stotts. I will be the first to admit I was wrong and that Stotts has changed and that he did these things correctly this year. But I am not going to give Stotts credit, or like 100% credit over someone like Damian Lillard, until I see in the playoffs Damian Lillard get double teamed and Stotts have a game plan that does not involve him going right into the double team every time. And on top of that, feature some sort of attacking offense that works in the playoffs, because his offense does not. And also have a defensive scheme because here's the problem. Yes, we've changed our defensive scheme a little bit and it's better, but the same problem is still going to apply when we get into the playoffs. You have to be able to change your defensive scheme depending on the competition, depending on who the primary ball handler of the other team is, depending on who the second primary ball handler on that team is, because it's not the same thing you do against every team. And this is my problem with Stotts, is he'll be like, oh, this is working, we'll just stick to this. And when we get to the playoffs, if it doesn't work, we won't have a way to counter that or to switch to a different defensive ability or scheme, because we haven't really worked on that in a game or in practice much. We've just focused so hard on this one scheme or whatever. And until I see those things change, I don't believe Stotts is the right coach to get us to the next level. So I can be happy that they're winning games and be in a better position to do that. But until I see those things pan out and I don't hear Damian Lillard tell me that their actual game plan was to give the ball back to him while he was being double teamed and just do something, I am not confident that those problems will not come back to bite us once again. And I don't want to sit here saying I told you guys so, but I'm also not going to buy into the fact that Stotts is doing something drastically different right now, and then all of a sudden we're just going to be magically better at all those things once we start playing elite teams and get into the playoffs. And like I said, I'm happy to be wrong. You guys can mark this tape or timestamp it or whatever. I will gladly admit that I was wrong about Stotts and that he is a great coach if he does fix those things.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, and you kind of went more in depth, there's still some things that need to be answered in regards to his coaching, right? So, like, right now, it's like, okay, I'm happy with the way this team is playing. I'm not really focusing on Stotts. I'm not really talking about him, I don't think he's doing as good of a job as other people want to make it out to be, right? But I don't think he's doing a bad job right now. But, I've said before, like, this team can be fine in the regular season, even with the way Stotts coaches. My problem is when it comes down to playoffs. So, like, it's, we've been kind of quiet on the topic, and I guess that's why we're talking about it a lot now, but you have a lot of people out there saying, where are all the Stotts, Stotts haters and fire Stotts, yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, we're seeing the improvement we wanted in terms of the way this team is playing in the regular season, but there's still a lot to talk about, and it's not something where we're just going to be out here, calling out some flaws that we still think he has in the playoffs when we just had a good regular season win or something. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? That's kind of what we're doing right now. But it's we're just gonna hope that what Stotts can do right now. Hopefully he does it. He's doing a decent job right now. But I still don't have a ton of. I'm with you. I still don't have a ton of confidence that it's going to be. That he's going to do a better job coaching in the playoffs. And a big part of my critique is his coaching in the playoffs. Because that's what it comes down to, right? You don't win a bunch of games in the regular season just to lose in the playoffs, right? You win a bunch of regular season games to put yourself in a great position in the playoffs, and then you want to exploit that opportunity and do the best with it you can. So it's going to come down to that. And, until, like, this team could win 60 games in the regular season, and I won't be on board with Terry Stotts until he proves it to me in the playoffs. And yeah, so that's where we stand on that.
And Gordon has a good point. Like, the year we're the 3 seed and we lose, we get swept by the 6 seed Pelicans. It's like, I will I'm going to be livid if we play so well this year that we get a home court advantage seed and we don't show up and we get swept out of the playoffs. And if anyone thinks that Stotts deserves to keep his job if that happens, I can't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
And to Blazer 2K's $5 donation that says, do you think Stott's going to be the second coach to win Coach of the Year and get fired? Actually, I think he'd be the third because I believe George Karl and Dwayne Casey both had that happen recently. But yeah, so that is a possibility if we have a great regular season and then we get swept out of the playoffs or, only win one game or whatever. So I do think there is a chance that happens. I don't see him. Hopefully he's not bad enough in the playoffs to where that happens. I hope I'm wrong about all this and that he does finally change his ways.
Yep, just got to deal with the trap better. Honestly, that's like the biggest thing when it comes around. You gotta put Dame in a position where he can get good shots against a team that's prepared, that's seeing you night in, night out. It's a 7-game series against the same team, so they see you over and over again. So they're gonna perfect. That's the thing. Defenses perfect the way in which they guard Damian Lillard because you kind of shut down Damian Lillard, you shut down this team. That's how it goes. So we need to have an answer to, A, if this team is given all that attention to Damian Lillard, use it against them and get other guys going, and B, make it easier on Dame by not setting him up to just create everything off the dribble, off a pick and roll in isolation. That's the thing. Like, that's what he did today, and he was phenomenal. But if we run an offensive game like this in the playoffs, I have some concerns because you're allowed to be a little bit more physical, and teams trap a lot harder in the playoffs than the Pelicans did today. And when you look at kind of the best teams, the best teams in the West, you look at the LA teams specifically, they are built to trap. The Clippers and the Lakers are both built to trap. So it's like seeing the offense we did today, it's like I'm not praising Stotts because it's still something like one of my critiques is we need to do a better job of getting Dame easier looks and like getting him in a position where he can get good shots against playoff defense. Because you look at the way Golden State utilizes Steph, it's impossible to guard him. Even in the playoffs, you can't really shut him down because he moves off the ball constantly. He's utilized off the ball a lot. When teams do trap him, they do a really good job of creating that using that trap against the defense and creating great shots out of it. That's what we got to do with Dame. And that's what we failed to do in previous playoffs. And, it's, you've seen, I don't know, I haven't seen anything during this good 9-game stretch that would lead me to believe this team is any more prepared for a trap in the playoffs than I believe they were to start this season. There's nothing that I've seen so far because it's not like teams are really trapping Dame, and even when they are, it's not like they're trapping him all that well. You look at the way that the Mavericks kind of trapped him; they weren't trapping him all that well. It's just a different beast when you go up against Anthony Davis and LeBron James, right? So. The jury remains out on that. I don't have a lot of confidence in it, but I mean, of course, rolling into a playoff series, I will give him a chance, and we'll just wait and see, and we'll see what happens.
Yep, that's how I'm looking at it.
Yep. And
then let me just say, real quick, AM was warned at least 10 times by me privately, and warned several times by Tori in the streams and in the chat, and he had several chances. So, mods, I would appreciate it if you didn't help egg that on to bring AM back. He is done. He may have a chance to come back at some point, but he absolutely should have been banned, and that's why we did it.
We gave him more leeway than anybody ever in the history of this community.
People's mix, but
I mean, yeah, him too. True, facts. But yeah, I mean, come on, mods, don't be doing that. Like we gave him chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. We've permabanned people for less than that. It's but the thing is, when we permaban people, normally it's for them being disrespectful to others, being disrespectful to us, insulting others, insulting us. Portlandia earlier said this channel is a joke. That's an insult, I don't think this channel is a joke. I don't know, maybe it is. But I don't know, maybe it's a good thing if it's a joke. Maybe some people find it funny and can get a good laugh out of it. The laughter is good, right? So I don't know. Stuff like that is just Don't insult people. And we, you know, with somebody like Portlandia, it's like we try to show him as much respect as possible. So for him to come in and like just insult the channel or like insult others or act self-righteous, that type of stuff, it's especially annoying, and especially like not like I'm especially not cool with that compared to just if somebody randomly came in here and was saying that type of stuff. So yeah.
And for the record, I mean, hate on me all you want, I don't care, but don't continually say nasty things about other people in chat, and especially after I tell you, hey, back off. I tell you again, back off. Hey, come on, don't do that again. I keep telling you that. That's when we're going to have a problem. It's not about not being able to conversate or to give your opinion or whatever. It's when you make it personal and do nothing but attack other individuals. And that's what AM did. And, you know, if you want to joke about the show or whatever, that's fine. I don't really care about that. Tori might feel differently, but like just don't like do it in a way that's like not helping at all. Like just like give your opinions and try to be a part of the community instead of against it.
For me, it's just different when it comes to somebody who we try hard to like get the heat off him because of his opinions and try hard to respect his opinions, and then he's coming in here being disrespectful about ours and then insulting the jail. Like, it's just, with him specifically, it's annoying. Like, oh, you're going to say it's a joke, like, whatever. With him especially, it's frustrating. And then, a little disappointed in Isaac and that type of stuff, but, you know, Isaac doesn't have a filter, so, yeah, good job, Eric. Get Isaac out of here for the moment until he calms down, man. Isaac, go to that Hawaiian beach or whatever and have a, you know, drink or something. I don't know, man. For like 5 minutes, and then you can come back and maybe stop focusing on your boy there. But yeah, let's talk about players. Let's start actually talking about this game. I feel like we've barely recapped this game. We've I don't know. We've recapped it a bit, so. But we'll talk about the players. We'll get into the players here, and then we'll go around the NBA, talk about the standings, and that'll be our stream. So you got. Let me just set this up real quick. I mean, we've been talking about Dame, right? And that stat line is phenomenal. Phenomenal efficiency. You had some people saying trashing him earlier in the game, man, which is just ridiculous to me, saying he was having a bad game. Crazy. He is... Oh, excuse me. Camera focus, thanks. He's now averaging 29.8 points per game and 7.7 assists per game. Top 3 MVP candidate in my eyes. Should be a starter in the All-Star game. We'll see what happens with that. If you want our All-Star picks, we're doing a stream tomorrow over on Blazers Uprise Live, going live around 3:30. We'll do picks against the spread. There's only 3 games, so it'll be a short picks against the spread segment. But then we're going to do, me and Eric will do who we would pick for the All-Star game. And because I think the starters are announced like right after that stream tomorrow. So we will do that over on Blazers Uprise Live. If you haven't subscribed, link is in the description below. Been chasing 1,000 over there. So if you want our All-Star picks, there you go. That's your stream for it. But yeah, Dame deserves to be a starter. Hopefully he is a starter. I don't know. I don't even understand how it like fully like works out, you know.
Well, it's 50% the fan vote, which I don't think, even if Dame had a huge push at the end, he probably isn't going to get it over Luka. And then it's 25% media and 25% coaches and 25% players.
So what if there's a tie? Because it's based on like where they're ranked in the votes. So what if there's a tie?
I don't know what a default
fan vote win out.
I think it's like a percentage of fan vote versus percentage of other votes, or so. Yeah, it's like it's tough.
Confusing.
Yeah.
So he might have a chance. I'd say it's a little bit. I don't know. I don't even know how to speculate on it. But hopefully he's a starter. He deserves to be a starter, man.
Joel says fan vote is the tiebreaker.
Fan vote is a tiebreaker. Yeah, that's gonna make it really hard for him to be a starter. Hopefully he had a good final push. I can't talk. Hopefully he had a good final push. I know Eric was pushing hard for him. I just never even pay attention.
I did my part, I think.
Yeah, I just never even pay attention to fan voting. I just think it's kind of ridiculous, you know. I don't know. At least it's not fully fan voting anymore because
I
that
had
was
some
really
fun
bad.
just, interacting with people, trying to retweet as many things as possible. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, you did it for the clout. Don't lie.
I don't care at all.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So yeah, damn phenomenal game. Hopefully he'll keep it up, man. The dude is just insane. I mean, we talked about him a lot. As I said, can't really contextualize what he's doing with words. It's something you gotta see to believe. Let's talk about. He made another burner. Isaac, stop.
I gotcha.
Unless you're ready to, I don't even know. Unless you're ready to get me back, Isaac, you know what I'm talking about. Don't be making burners. Once you do that, I'll let you go on your little spree for like a good 5 minutes, just so you can get your fill, your fixin'. But until you return the favor, you ain't allowed to make no burners, man. Come on, man. Don't make Eric work any harder than he needs to. Despicable. Let's move on and talk about Gary Trent Jr. Another big game from him. He's stepped up and replaced the CJ role pretty admirably. 23 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, 7 for 14 from the field, 5 for 10 from the three-point line. Had one of his twos he missed was a shot that got blocked out of bounds. So still our ball wasn't really something that hurt the team. He had a nice drive for his first points of the game. I think it was maybe it was after 3, but early in the game had a nice drive and finished with his right hand on the big. It's nice that he can isolate a big and exploit that with not only shooting against him but also get to the rim. So still looking for more improvement in his dribble drive game and some of his decision making off the dribble drive. I think that's the next facet of his game that'll evolve in a positive manner. Overall, he's a shooter, he's a sniper, and you want to honestly, as a starter with how much he's playing, you want him to shoot at least 10 threes a game. Tonight he did it and did it efficiently.
Yeah, Gary Trent once again, great game, making us are helping to contribute to these games without CJ, and he's been nothing short of fantastic as the starting 2 guard. And once again, another great game from him.
Yep. We'll see when CJ comes back. It's not going to be at least for another couple weeks. Probably, very likely not going to be until after the All-Star break. But once CJ comes back, got to find a way to get Gary Trent 30 minutes a game, not 6 minutes a game. Like, he had that game earlier this year where he only got 6 minutes, which is still baffling to me. 30 minutes a game for Gary Trent Jr. Once CJ comes back would be the goal. But, bro, if he is the starter on a team, he could average. I think he could average 20 points a game on efficient shooting. That's a really good player, man. I mean, the dude is phenomenal. So.
Yeah, up until this game, he was also, I felt like his stats in other areas were picking up a little bit. That's one thing I would like to see from him is not just the points, maybe getting some rebounds, getting a couple extra assists a game by moving the ball. But other than that, yeah, it's hard to really complain about anything or nitpick anything Gary Trent's doing right now.
Yep. Let's move on and talk about what we got. Derrick Jones Jr., who had a really good game tonight, in my opinion. Both our forwards did. I don't know why the graphic is like off the screen a little bit, but oh well. Had to fit in a lot of stats for this one. Wanted to fit in steals and blocks. Dude had 13.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 6 for 8 from the field. Dame set him up with a couple backdoor lobs. I love those plays. Just getting an easy bucket on the interior, just off a pass is something this team probably doesn't do enough. So anytime it happens, I enjoy it. And especially with a guy like Derrick Jones Jr., who's freakishly athletic. Earlier in the game, Lamar Hurd dropped the stat that he's 21 for 28 on dunks this year. I know we had a conversation about his dunking last game. Didn't miss one this game. Finished really well inside. His finishing has improved because he started off like struggling over the first 5 to 10 games. I think he was shooting under 40% inside the arc. His finishing is now back up to 64% inside the arc or something in that range. When you got a guy that struggles from the 3-point line like he does, I really wish he was a 35% 3-point shooter because he would be phenomenal, and probably a better slasher if guys had to run him off the line and he could just attack off the dribble. But But, you know, with his 3-point struggles, you want him to finish inside and finish well, and he's been doing a really good job of that lately.
Yeah, so, you know, there was one alley-oop where he kind of caught it and dunked it, but the pass was, like, really close, but he didn't try to go, like, too high or cock it back or anything. And then there was another one where he probably could have tried for, like, an absolute highlight reel dunk, but he grabbed it and laid it in instead and made it. And I had someone on Twitter say, see what you did, Eric. Now he's not going to give us that highlight dunk. Well, I'd rather have the 2 points than to know that isn't going to be for everyone, but I was glad he took the time to actually finish those shots instead of just trying to go for crazy dunks.
Yep. By the way, Isaac swears that the burners aren't him, so I don't know. I don't know if I trust him though. That's a very Isaac-esque thing to do. Isaac, enjoy your attention, bro. But yeah, both our forwards, because we'll talk about Rocco next. Both our forwards had a great game today, and they were struggling to start the season. They are finally showcasing what Neil Olshey brought them in to do, which is to hopefully be two-way guys. You know, Derrick Jones Jr. is much less of a two-way guy than Rocco probably, but you still got some offensive abilities there that you can tap into. It's just not your prototypical wing abilities. You know, he's not a guy that's really going to handle the ball or shoot threes, but he, you know, you got a guy there that can go offensive rebound. He's been crashing the boards really well lately. I think that's been something that's not been nice to see. And then, yeah, you still want to get him. You know, I still want Stas to get more creative with the half court sets utilizing Derrick Jones Jr. as a cutter, because Jake Herrick pointed this out. He says not many teams go over the screen that freed Derrick Jones Jr. for a couple of those backdoor lay-ins. You know, he kind of curls around Cantor and runs to the rim. Not many teams go over them. He's not a good shooter, so they can just go under and shut that down. And then not a lot of bigs hug up on Cantor either, because he can't really shoot from there, or doesn't even try. So like that type of play, it might work occasionally. I'm surprised it worked twice. That's just bad defense on the Pelicans' part. I would like to see Stotts get more creative in terms of how he utilizes Derrick Jones Jr. as a cutter, and maybe come up with some designs where the defense doesn't see it coming from the get-go, because you pretty much see it coming. I don't know. I just feel like there's more creative ways we could even better tap into his abilities on offense.
Yeah, so I tweeted this out before the last play where Dame got the and one. Derrick Jones ended up being taken out of the game, but the entire game I was watching, anytime Dame got doubled or trapped out of the pick and roll, that baseline cut was wide open, and he was actually cutting a few times, got the ball a few times, including the play, I don't know if it was a possession or two before that, where he got the laying off the assist from Dame. But that play is there, and that's one way. You just pass it to the middle of the court if Dame's being doubled, and you run that backdoor play, and you just lob it to him, and that's an easy bucket almost every time. And if they're going to double or focus so much attention on Dame, that play is there almost every single time they attract the attention on Dame. So I just wish they would just do it until it's not available anymore. And if it's not available or they start doing that, then someone's going to be wide open for three, or they're not going to be able to double team Dame, and we know what will happen if they do that. So that's one way they can get the teams out of taking Dame out of the games. And so I want to see that just completely exploited until teams adjust to it, and just let Derrick Jones have like 40 points in a game, because they're either going to have to stop that or continue to put a lot of attention towards Dame.
Yep. Still think we can get more creative. I agree with that. And I'm pretty sure even the people that, you know, support Stotts might agree with that as well. You know, it's a hard guy to kind of fit. You know, it's easier to just fit in a shooter there, right? A guy who's just going to shoot threes, and you can just stick him out on the three-point line, and he's just going to space the floor. You don't have to do anything with him, and he's going to knock down some shots and make it easier on other guys. Derrick Jones Jr. isn't that guy, so it's a little tougher to use him. But when you got athleticism like that, finishing ability like that, you can. It's harder to utilize it, but if you utilize it correctly, if you get creative with it, it can be a real threat. So overall, he's been playing better lately, though, in general.
Yeah, he had a couple really nice passes in this game, which
Mm-hmm.
were nice to see as well. But there was one play where Dame dumped it off to Cantor, who caught the ball and drove and kind of flipped up a 5 or 6 foot shot and missed it. But if he just dumps it to Derek Jones on that play, he's got a dunk. So I'd like to see them looking for that out of that pass to Cantor. If Cantor knows he's going to be cutting almost every time, then that's an easy two with Cantor. And if they sag off Cantor, he can just go in and lay it in. So
There was another play where Derek Jones Jr. basically had a dunk. It was the play where Anthony carried. And I honestly don't think it was a carry. He took like a weird dribble and it kind of looked like a carry, but I don't know. It was kind of a ticky-tack thing, but it was a good, they don't call that. It's a good hesitation move, and it freed up cutting Derek Jones Jr. for a dunk. So, he's made the most out of his opportunities when he's gotten the ball on the inside. You just look back to that Melo play against Dallas in the final seconds where he cuts inside. In the past, you got guys like Bazemore, Hazonia, and Evan Turner, and guys like that just sit out there on the 3-point arc and launch threes, even though they weren't good 3-point shooters. At least Bazemore wasn't for us. The other two were definitely not. Where it's just like, just cut and get a lay-in. Obviously they don't have the athleticism of a Derrick Jones Jr., but they can still finish lay-ins if they get them. You look at Mario Hazonia, it's like, why are you sitting in the corner? If Mario Hazonia would not have been as infuriating if he just cut like Derrick Jones Jr. does on a lot of plays where, just cut baseline. Just cut baseline and get a lay-in instead of spotting up for three if you're not, a good shooter. Because a lot of times it is there.
Yep. A lot of people are mentioning when Nurk gets back. Hopefully Nurk looks for that because he likes to pass a lot.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on and talk about Robert Covington. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, 5 for 6 from the field, 2 for 3 from the 3-point line. Phenomenal game from Rocco. He's been shooting better. I told y'all it was going to happen. Okay? I told y'all it was going to happen. And, it's only 3 threes tonight, but he finally looks confident with his 3-point shot, which is the first time I can say that about him this season. He hasn't looked confident until now. It looks like he's finally fitting in. He finished, I don't really remember any of the plays he finished, but, 3 for 3 inside the arc, 2 for 3 outside the arc. Very efficient game. He's been very, very good as a small ball center. He had 6 blocks last game, 4 blocks tonight. That's 10 blocks in the last 2 games where he's had to fill in for Harry Giles as a backup center. He's our start 4 and backup 5 right now. He's been phenomenal lately, and he's finally showcasing what we brought him in here to do.
Yeah, and he just gets his hands on so many plays. We had that stretch where Dame got a dunk, and I think we got a steal in the next possession too. That was a key turning point in our comeback too. This guy, obviously, Zion is a really hard matchup for him. But other than pretty much anyone on our team would have had struggling for him, although I do want to ask you a question about that later. It's hard to ask much more from Covington than what he did in this game. Yep. They had a couple mid-range shots too. I haven't seen that part of his game either.
Look, much more comfortable than, like Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu. You did not want those guys shooting from mid-range. Harkless could occasionally do it. Aminu was horrible from the mid-range. His form did not work. And his form was weird in general, but his form kind of worked from 3. From 2, it just did not work, man. I mean, do you remember how many mid-range jumpers Aminu would airball? Long, short,
yeah.
It was bad, man. He had his form dialed in to knock down some threes, not some mid-range shots. But Rocco, I mean, his shot is his form is much better than Aminu's. So, if they leave him open, I want him taking those shots. It was nice for him to hit him because that was 2 of the 3 twos that he made.
Yep.
Let's talk about Carmelo, who shot well from the 3-point line, was 3 for 9 inside the arc. Didn't like his shot selection inside the arc this game. It's as simple as that. I didn't like some of the shots he took inside the arc. Kind of settling for some, one pass into him in isolation, face up, and shoots a contested mid-range shot with 15 on the clock. I don't know, man. Like, run some motion. Try and run some motion, and if you don't get something out of that, then ISO him with 6 against the clock. He's going to get the same exact shot, but at least you have a chance to get something better if you run some motion. I think it's pretty simple. I don't like those types of shots with 15 seconds on the shot clock. And, sometimes if he gets hot, he can hit him, So if he's hot, there's little ESPN. I'm tired of the ESPN. That scared me a little bit. I don't know if y'all saw me jump. But, like if he's hot, if Melo is hot, I'm cool with him taking one of those. Emphasis on one of those. If he knocks that down, okay, he can take one until he misses, right? But, like, when he's not hot, I don't like it. In this game, I did not really like his shot selection. Overall, he had a okay game. It helped that he made a couple threes. He didn't get to the free throw line, right? He took 12 shots, didn't get to the free throw line. And that was because of the types of shots he was selling for. He wasn't really attacking. He wasn't really, picking his spots as well as I would hope. So overall, it was an okay game. I just kind of had a little bit of an issue with the shot selection.
Yeah, I thought he was a little better with it in the second half than the first half. I just feel like there was 2 possessions in this game too where he brings the ball up the court. And I'm not just saying it's him because there's lots of other players who do this too. But, like, no one else touches the ball. He just dribbles around and then goes into his mid-range and shoots. One of the times tonight he shot a 3. I feel like if he just cuts those out, those kind of possessions out, overall I was probably okay with some of his game tonight. But, yeah, definitely not getting the quality shots he was getting, other than he had that one move where he completely, I forgot who it was, but he completely left him in the post and had a nice lay-in. But other than that, yeah, he had a couple of tough shots. But overall, I think Melo's kind of saved his game. And as you mentioned at the beginning, he did have a nice defensive possession at the end, so I got to give him credit for that. And just got to kind of live with these kind of games, I guess. It's not like terrible, but it wasn't like great either. But I'll take this over some of the other types of games, or like last game.
Block Boy thinks he played great, so good for Melo. He has Block Boy. He always has Block Boy to fall back on, when we criticize him too much. But I don't know. He's such a good free throw shooter this year and last year. I want to see him give himself a chance to get to the line. I feel like he didn't do that once this game, and maybe draw the defense. There was he did have one assist, and that was a play in which he, I'm cool with isolating him against like a Kyra Lewis Jr., right? Mm-hmm. A small, undersized point guard, right? I don't want Melo shooting a 16-foot turnaround fadeaway against a 6'2" point guard. I want him just bullying him and getting a lay-in, or making the defense foul him, but or draw multiple defenders to him. I'd rather have that, but they did ISO him, and they had to send Josh Hart helping baseline, and it Zion slipped on the play, so maybe that made it a little easier, but it did create a wide open shot for, I forget who it was. I think it was Gary Trent Jr.
It was Trent, yeah.
So against mismatches and stuff, I'm cool with trying to exploit that. With most guys on this team, if you had Kyra Lewis on Rodney Hood, I would throw it into him in the post. There's a difference between, isolating Melo against a Brandon Ingram or a Zion Williamson compared to isolating him against a Kyra Lewis Jr. So, anything else you want to touch on in regards to Melo?
No, I like the kind of Ant and Melo 2-man game as long as they're not looking to shoot right away out of it unless they're open. But I kind of like, there was a couple possessions where I said like each one of them had a nice pass. But I just don't like the possessions where he either brings it up or where we just flat out ISO him. And I think we can get him better looks, and his efficiency would increase because of it.
Yep. Let's move on and talk about Ennis, who only had 4 rebounds today. That's kind of shocking. In 30 minutes, he only gets 4 boards, 2 of them offensively, 2 of them defensively. We did not rebound the ball well today. I didn't even realize how bad it was.
Yeah, we got completely out-rebounded.
Pelicans had 18 offensive rebounds to our 7, and they did that, for the most part, without their best rebounder in Steven Adams. Hopefully his ankle's all right. That was a tough rolled ankle there. But, yeah, we got out-rebounded 51-31. And I don't know, man. It wasn't a good rebounding game from Kanter, so to say. He finished better in the last game, 5 for 10, but this is definitely one of his more, I don't know, mediocre performances, so to say. He's been more efficient than this on the season and rebounded much better than this. We got destroyed on the board, so it's honestly not even that bad of a game. He has a pretty high floor. That's the thing with Ennis is he's improved defensively, and with his improvement defensively, there hasn't been any games where I felt like he's been terrible defensively. There are times where he'll get outmatched physically or whatnot, and those are bound to happen. But overall, given his physical tools, I think he's been a solid defender. And with that, with what he brings on the offensive end, it's really hard for him to have like a really bad game. He has a high floor when he's playing decent defense, and I think this is one of his games where it's like showing that he has a high floor when he's playing solid defense, because I'm out here saying, oh, he only got 4 rebounds. Like, that's not good. Oh, he only shot 50% from the field. Like, you know what I mean? It's It's a bad game by his standards, but it's honestly not. It's not terrible.
There was a possession too on defense where he kind of randomly trapped. I think it was Ingram, and then Ingram picked up his dribble, and Kanter immediately recognized it and got back to his guy. And the rest of the players rotated perfectly. And it's like, okay, see, we can do it. We are capable of doing it. So I just wish we'd let some of those things play out on the court. But overall, I think some of the rebounding was that, he gets a lot of offensive rebounding, and I'm pretty sure we had I'm pretty sure we shot a pretty high percentage from the field this game, so wasn't a lot of the usual chances that he gets. And then in the first half, especially, New Orleans shot really well from the field as well, so not a lot of defensive rebounding as well. But overall, I wouldn't say he was bad tonight. It was solid. It just didn't really show up in the box score in terms of rebounding.
Here's the thing. If he only has 4 rebounds, but we do a decent job of rebounding, we don't get completely outmatched on the boards, then I'm not really complaining about it, because he's the type of guy who, boxes out really, okay, compare him to Hassan Whiteside in terms of boxing out last year. Eric, have we complained once about a lack of box outs this year? Maybe very early in the season, but last year it was these guys never box out. Hassan never box outs. It's so frustrating. Guys just run past him. With Ennis, he's the type who'll always box out. He does a really good job of boxing out, fighting for position on the boards. He could have a 4 rebound game and do a decent job on the boards because he's boxing out and taking up attention and doing a good job helping his team secure the rebound, even if he's not getting it, right? But tonight, the team wasn't getting the rebound. The team wasn't rebounding well either. We got out-rebounded by 20. So overall, not a good game on the boards for Ennis. But these are so rare that it's whatever.
A lot of possessions I noticed we struggled rebounding were the possessions we were in zone. And
that's true.
We do fail to... because those are the type of possessions where you're not necessarily standing next to your guy. You have to actually search someone out and be in the right position. And then also, we play without Giles. We have a little bit smaller lineup too, so that could contribute to it as well. But
that's also true. It'd be interesting to kind of see the rebounding differential with Ennis on the court compared to without him on the court. But Rocco rebounded better than him tonight. Rocco had 8 rebounds tonight. Derrick Jones Jr. had 7. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to kind of see that contrast. And then, that's one of the weaknesses with zone defenses. When you're defending man on man, if you guys have played high school basketball or whatnot, even middle school basketball, you'll probably know this just from experience. But if you're playing man to man, it's really easy to box out because you're already guarding someone. You just turn, box them out. Whereas in a zone, oftentimes you're guarding an area and you're not necessarily on someone, so it's hard to figure out sometimes who to box out. Sometimes you have two guys go to box out the same guy. A lot of times it's hard to find the person you're supposed to box out. It's just much harder to rebound in a zone than it is in a man-to-man defense. So that's part of it.
And they have some decent big rebounders as well, so that helps. Even though Adams went out of this game early, Zion and even Jackson Hayes and Hernan Gomez were both active on the board, so it's not like they didn't have any any kind of rebounders out there. So yeah.
Shout out to Jake Carey for bringing good information. He said Pelicans are also best offensive rebounding team in the league. I can believe that. Didn't know that, but I can believe it. Not surprised by it.
Well, their guards are good rebounders. Mm-hmm. Ingram isn't a bad rebounder, so they have length at almost every position too, which is hard to rebound against.
Hernan Gomez, 29 minutes, had 7 offensive boards, so he was great rebounding the ball. You had Zion with 3. Ingram, Adams, and Bledsoe all had offensive rebounds. Josh Hart had 2. Jackson Hayes had 2. I don't know why they're not playing Jackson Hayes a little bit more. It seems like that guy's an important part of their future, but he's not really playing. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think he got in the doghouse or something because he hasn't played many minutes. Mm-hmm. Probably wouldn't have played at all tonight if Adams didn't go down.
Nice to see my guy Kyra Lewis out there too. Rooting for him when he's not playing us because I want him to pan out. Just like Jake's rooting for Nico Mannion over there in the G League.
Ooh, that was an unnecessary cheap shot. Jake finally comes in here and you got to throw a cheap shot for that.
Oh man, I didn't even really think about the way that was gonna come off, but it's just where he is, Yeah, the Warriors do a good job of developing G League players. So they're in Santa Cruz. Show my nerdiness there, but
I thought you were going to mention our boy Halliburton because wasn't Jake not a fan of Halliburton's game?
Yeah. Bro, I didn't even expect this from Halliburton this soon, man. Halliburton's been phenomenal. Halliburton's been honestly a lot of guys in this draft class have been phenomenal. So. Yeah, I mean, we were high on Obi. That could be his defense, and Obi hasn't looked too great. So,
and I can't say anything bad about any other draft prospect because LaMelo Ball is balling right now. So,
LaMelo Ball's overrated.
I'm just gonna say I might have been a little wrong on that, but yeah.
I did not expect him to play anywhere near this good. I mean, bro, he's playing so much better against NBA competition than he did last year against NBL competition. Mm-hmm. And he shoot like last year against in the NBL he shot 27% from 3. Now all of a sudden he's shooting 35% from 3. I don't understand. It's not like he even changed his form or anything. He's still shooting the same exact way. His form is still definitely not textbook. So, but he's been knocking down 35% of his shots. And he's been getting to the rim. Him shooting the ball well has made defenders have to get out on him more. Like I said, if he can shoot the ball well, it'll help him, drive the lanes and do more. Do more offensively. So, it's some of his concerns, the concerns I had with him, he's answered and he's shown to be fine with. And main one was shooting the ball. So, yeah. Man, Jake, don't nitpick Hallie, man. Don't nitpick Hallie. Like, come on, man. Hallie's been phenomenal. 44% from 3, 50% from the field, 12 points per game, 5 assists per game, 3.6 rebounds per game. That's in 29 minutes per game. Plays really good defense as well. Like that. Shout out to the Kings for finally nailing a draft pick. It just took them getting rid of Vlade Divac to finally nail a draft pick. And it was the obvious draft pick there at 12? Like he was definitely a top 10 prospect and consensus top 10 going into the draft. So pretty obvious pick there. But, shout out to them for finally nailing a draft pick. Mm-hmm. Let's move on and talk about. We got a couple more players, and then we'll go around the NBA. Anthony Simon, 7 points, 3 assists, 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 4 from the 3-point line. Quieter game than he's had in the past. I don't know, not too much. At least he had 3 assists though. That's a bit more than he's accustomed to. I don't really remember any of them specifically. I don't even really remember him doing anything in this game. But overall, it's. A lot of the talking points that I'd say on him is stuff that we've said in previous post-game conferences, or post-game shows. yeah, so I don't know. What do you want to say? What do you have to say about Anthony this game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going back to a little bit of him having to create more, whereas he's getting a little bit more catch and shoot threes over the last few games, and has had a lot of success with those. So I want to continue to build upon what we talked about last game, whereas when these guys are proving that they're good shooters, try to find some ways to get them open looks.
Yep.
Which I don't think we really did well tonight, but overall, I mean, it wasn't a good game from Ant, but it wasn't, again, not awful, or he didn't cost us the game or anything. Like, he was fine, I guess.
Yeah, the 1-3 he hit was off a catch and shoot shot, off a good pass from Dame. So,
yeah.
Let's talk about the last player. Dang, it's already on Dame. Why did it go to Dame? Oh, I didn't make a Hood graphic, but Hood that hit a couple shots. I don't know. It's he had a quiet game. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, he's slowly figuring it out, in my opinion. But I'm starting to wonder, maybe if we need to play Nasir over him, man. Nasir only playing 5 minutes tonight, I think, is criminally. I don't know. I mean, Derrick Jones Jr. and Kuroko played well. I don't know, man. I think Nas deserves more minutes than that.
Yeah, I mean, Hood had that nice dunk. It was good to see him get up. He had an and one, too, on Reddick. But those were like his first couple minutes in the game, and then I remember missing a three, but I don't really even remember him being on the court after that. But
exactly. He did play 19 minutes, but he was kind of invisible out there in the second half.
Might have been a case, too, where, this is his first game back from an injury, and once again, every time it seems like he's starting to maybe turn the corner, he has an injury and misses a couple games, and then it's like back to, okay, he's got to get back in the flow again. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Nas didn't play. And really, I mean, Rocco got hurt in the first half, and that's the only reason Nas even got in at all in this game. So, like, I don't know if Nas would even played if Rocco didn't go down in the first half. So
yeah, definitely disappointing. I want to see what we have in.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. So, do you think Stotts and the coaching staff know that in previous campaigns, both UNC and dating back to like AAU high school days, that Nas has actually had a lot of success primarily in defending or going at Zion in games? Mm-hmm. Do you think the coaching staff is aware of that and just ignores it, or do you think they just don't know and haven't ever heard that before?
Honestly, I don't know. That's a good question I'm curious what Jake thinks. Jake, answer if you want to. I'm curious to see what your answer to that would be, because I don't know. Like, this is the perfect game to play Nas in my opinion, to match him up against Zion. He's probably more equipped to guard Zion than anybody else on this team.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know if it's... Because you look at Nas, you're like, there's no way he could stop Zion, right? But, like...
He's strong, he's decently athletic.
Success, but, like, the thing is, it's like... There was a point where Zion was basically doing whatever he wanted, and we were having a really tough time. And I didn't like that we weren't actually double teaming him. We were just having the second guy waiting for him to drive, which was like too late to stop him.
Yeah.
But it's like, why not just throw Nas out there for a few minutes and see if he can do anything like he did against like a Pascal Siakam last year?
Because Nas has more experience guarding Zion than anybody else on our team. You wouldn't think that, second year player, but he grew up. He was in the same class as Zion. Like, I think little. On ESPN's recruiting rankings when he was going into college might have been a rank higher than Zion. But he had a ton of experience playing against him, so he knows his game as well as anybody on the team, and physically he's equipped to deal with him. So I would have liked to have seen the coaching staff give Nas the chance to guard Zion, because the dude finished with 36 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on 12 for 18 shooting, 11 for 15 from the free throw line in 34 minutes. Dude dominated us tonight.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, you don't have to like stick with it if it's not working, but I just like to see him get a shot sometimes to do it, and I think it's not like he was hurt and couldn't play or something. Like I just like some of those situations. I just wish we would, let someone else have a crack at it for just a few minutes.
Yep. So let's go around the NBA. Let's talk NBA scores here. We had a lot of action tonight. First off, Spurs and Cavs postponed. The Spurs are having 3 games postponed. This is the second of those 3. You had the Trailblazers, of course, beating the Pelicans, moving to 18-10. The Pelicans fall to 12-16. The Magic beat the Knicks 107-89, led by 30 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists from Terrence Ross. The Magic moved to 11-18. The Knicks have been hovering around 500. They are now at 14-16. The Hawks beat the Celtics, who cannot create any separation above 500. The Hawks were led by Trae Young, who had 40 points, 8 assists. Jason Tatum had 35, 6 and 6 in the loss for Boston. The Sixers beat the Rockets 118-113. Joel Embiid almost had a triple-double. He had 31 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. John Wall had 28 points, 7 assists in the loss for the Rockets, who are now at 11-17. So finally creating some separation between those, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th spots in the West for the Blazers there. We'll look at the standings in a second. Huge result here. You got the Wizards beating the Nuggets. It's always good to see a Eastern Conference team beating a Western Conference playoff team. The Nuggets have been very inconsistent this year. The Wizards were led by Davis Bertans, who had 35 points in the win for the Wizards. Bradley Beal hit 2 free throws with a 1/10 of a second left after being fouled late there. Jokic had 33 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds in the loss for the Nuggets. Be interesting to see if the Nuggets can figure this out. But honestly, I thought they were a little bit overrated going into the season. I thought their roster, they lost. Losing Jeremy Grant hurt. Losing Mason Plumlee hurt. He was a perfect backup for Nikola Jokic just because you had constant playmaking at that 5 spot. Who else did they lose that I'm forgetting about? They lost Torrey Craig. Was there somebody else I'm forgetting about? I feel like I'm still forgetting about somebody.
Yeah, I feel like we are forgetting about someone, but they re-signed Millsap, but he hasn't been great for them. Jack probably can remind us.
I thought Millsap was having a good season. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, he's fine. He's just I don't know. I don't like the way they use him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, Campazzo had 14 off the bench. Mm-hmm. Facundo Campazzo, however you say that dude's name. But like, they were missing Michael Porter Jr. for a bit, and he let me look at his season numbers because I haven't checked them. I've heard he's been struggling, and I don't know. He's doing okay offensively. The dude can't defend. Like, he's a horrible defender. I don't know. And offensively, he just doesn't bring enough to really offset that, in my opinion. I don't know. He's a scorer and scores with decent efficiency, but I don't know. He's missed some games. You have Paul Millsap out tonight. Gary Harris is always injury prone. They just don't have the depth to absorb any injuries this year. Now it's like us. Like they always had a ton of depth, and guys would get hurt, and they'd have guys step up. A Malik Beasley in the past. A Jeremy Grant in the past. This year, they don't have that depth. We do. So now we're stepping up and absorbing these injuries well. Things kind of switched there. But they end up losing to the Wizards tonight. A very bad loss for them. The Wizards are our next opponent on the 20th at home. So we will have you covered on that one. Hopefully that's another one. Hopefully we can extend this win streak to 7.
Wizards are playing a little better lately.
Yeah.
They've won some games, but
I mean, you still got some players on that team that can play. You got Bertans, you got, Russ, but Russ 5 for 15 tonight, only 12 points. He did have 13 rebounds and 12 assists. Also had 8 turnovers and 5 personal fouls. So I wouldn't say he necessarily had a good game. But of course, you got Bradley Beal there, who's just been phenomenal this year for them. And Rui, my guy Rui, has had some good moments this year as well. And then you got Bertans off the bench, who had 35 tonight. So you still got some players on that team. They should be a little bit better than they've been. So it's not going to be any walk in the park, but it should be a game that we should be able to take care of.
Yet another team that's 29th in 3-point shooting percentage this year. So.
I like to hear that coming in. Hopefully they don't go off, man.
Yeah.
With the way we've been defending the 3-point line, it should be fine, man. Should be fine. Hopefully, fingers crossed. The Pacers beat the Timberwolves in overtime behind 36 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists from former Gonzaga Bulldog, son of Arvydas. That's Domantas Sabonis. He balled out for the Pacers today. They struggled with the Timberwolves. 134 to 128 was the final score. Pacers over Minnesota. Karl-Anthony Towns had 30 points, 10 rebounds. D'Angelo Russell has been out for the Timberwolves. You have the Bulls beating the Pistons 105-102. Zach LaVine had 37 points in the win for the Bulls. He also had five rebounds, 5 assists. Jeremy Grant, you see how many he scored today? 43 points for Jeremy Grant.
Did you see how many rebounds and assists he had?
2 rebounds, 0 assists. But
that's a crazy game. He shot really well. But.
I didn't expect him to be able to be this level of a scorer. You know what I mean? It's kind of insane what he's doing there in Detroit. It'd be interesting to see him on a winning team now, to see if he'd go back to kind of the role player that he was for Denver, or if he could do this for a winning team. Because right now the Detroit Pistons are very bad. They fall to 8-20 after this loss. He's putting up good stats on a bad team. There's some players that can put up great stats on a bad team, but when it comes to playing for a winning team, they can't do anything like what they would do on a bad team. So I'd be intrigued to see him on a winning team now after he's kind of seemingly evolved this year.
Yep. And Jake Carey says that Sabonis hasn't been good this year.
Domantas? You don't think Domantas has been good this year? That's as shocking of a take as any. The dude's averaging 21, 11, and 6. And he's shooting 52% from the field and 35% from 3. And he's shooting more threes this year. He's shooting 3 a game. He had never shot more than he shot 2 a game as a rookie year, but he's shooting almost 3 threes a game at 35%. I don't know. I don't know how you can say he hasn't been good this year when he's averaging 21, 11, and 6 and doing it on good efficiency. I don't know. I'm curious as to the justification for that take because that's a bit surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that personally because that's a former Gonzaga Bulldog you're talking about. The Grizzlies beat the Thunder 122 to 113. The Thunder are finally starting to struggle. They still been competitive, but they fall off pace with the Grizzlies there in the fourth. SGA was back. He had 22 in the loss for the Thunder. And then Jonas Valanciunas had 22 and 12 for the win, for the Grizzlies in the win. He probably should not be playing right now, but he is. The dude probably should have been suspended for what he did to Chimezie Metu. I don't know what your opinion is on it. Chat, Eric, I don't know. I think he should have been suspended. Dude fractured his wrist. I don't know. It's Metu dunks on him. If you haven't seen the clip, I suggest you look it up at some point. But Metu dunks on him and he just throws him to the ground. It seemed like Metu was hanging over him, but I think it was he didn't have anywhere to land, so he was just hanging on the rim. It wasn't like he was trying to showboat or anything. And Valanciunas just wraps him up and throws him to the ground. Dude fractures his wrists. I think
you don't like to see that. That's always dangerous. It's not appropriate to say on here, but check out Nurk's little reaction.
Oh, yeah. If you guys haven't been on social media, you need to get on social media. And if you are on social media and don't follow us, you need to follow us at Torrey Jones YT for me, at HoopsJock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel, so you can stay tuned when we go live and drop content. Links for our Twitters are down in the description below. Let's move on and talk about... And by the way, the Grizzlies are at 12-12, so they're at 500. They've been hovering around there. Let's talk about Warriors vs. Heat, which was on ESPN. This game just finished. In overtime, the Warriors take care of the Heat. The Heat are letting us down. They lose against a shorthanded Clippers team. They lose against the Warriors. The Heat are really not doing us or themselves any favors. Heat fall to 11-17. Warriors are now at 16-13. Did you see who led the Warriors in scoring today?
I did not, but I know it's not Curry.
Guess.
Oubre?
There's one person I would bring this.
Blazer.
Yes, there's one person I would bring this up for and ask you who.
Yeah, Kent Bazemore.
Kent Bazemore had 26 tonight. 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Shot 10 for 19 from the field, 4 for 7 from the 3-point line. He's been quietly good for them this year. Not having a huge impact, only averaging 6 points a game, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, but he's been shooting the ball well. He's been shooting 44% from 3, 51% from the field, so having a much better performance there for the Warriors than he ever did for us. He was a disaster for us, so he balls out, helps them get a win in overtime. Steph Curry has 25 points, but shoots 8 for 25 from the field, 5 for 20 from the 3-point line. So Dame was far better than Steph today. Oubre and Wiggins had 23 apiece.
I think Curry was like 3 for 18 at one point, so he definitely came on strong at the end and helped get them that win.
Ain't my MVP.
Miami is just
Yeah, you have Bam dropping 24 and 7 assists, 5 rebounds. Jimmy Butler dropping 13 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, had a triple-double. What is the issue with the Heat this year, man? Like, I haven't watched any of their games. And maybe if Jake's still in here, he could tell us what's different. But, like, what is so different? You're talking about a team that makes a run to the finals and is competitive in the final, more competitive than any team against the Lakers in a playoff series last year when they have guys hurt. And this year they're at 11-17. I know they've been missing guys, but, like, they're healthy now for the most part and lose against a Clippers team without PG, Kawhi, or Pat Beverly. They lose against the Warriors here in overtime. Like, what is the difference? What has happened to them? Very, very confused.
I think a little bit they lose a couple of glue guys like Jay Crowder, and Myers Leonard being hurt is a devastating blow. Just joking. Didn't even get a reaction out of you guys, man.
I didn't know if you were serious or joking, but like, bro, I don't know. Like, Myers Leonard,
he does space the floor.
He does space the floor. I mean, you got. I don't know who they're. Well, I'm just looking at their stat line. It's like their backup center right now is Precious, I guess. And he had a decent game today, but I don't know. They really don't have. I mean, I guess it's Olynyk, but Olynyk's been starting. So, I mean, they could use Myers Leonard. They're not playing Harkless. They're not utilizing him well.
Dragic has played much. I think he's been out for a while, too. So
I mean, you look at what Iguodala's doing this year. How is Harkless worse than Iguodala? Iguodala's played 20 minutes tonight. He's been playing, but he hasn't been good. I don't know, man. He hasn't impressed me at all. Let me look up his stats. He's averaging 4 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He's been shooting 36% from the field, 31% from 3. And he is 37 years old right now. I mean, he still can defend, but he's probably not the same defender he used to be. I don't know. Like, I feel like Harkless could do more than that, and they're missing kind of that Jay Crowder glue guy. I'm surprised they're not giving Harkless a chance to be that for them. Instead, they're playing Gabe Vincent 11 minutes tonight. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's weird because they weren't a great regular season team last year either. Mm-hmm. So I think people kind of overvalued them based on their finals run, obviously. But it's a team that Jimmy Butler is a weird guy because he always has seemingly some sort of like nagging injury to where he's not 100%. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think he's it's a hard guy because like Dame is like the opposite where like we run him into the ground so much during the year that once the playoffs hit, it's hard for him to carry a team because he's usually tired from doing it for 82 games. Whereas Jimmy Butler takes a lot of nights off. They load manage him, but when he needs to bring it, he still can when he needs to. But yeah, it's just a weird team. I think if they find a way to make it into the playoffs, they're built more for a series against certain teams.
Could be a dangerous 8 seed.
Yeah,
or 10 seed because there's a play-in.
Yeah, well, like Miami, they match up really well with Miami still, and that's a team that are with Milwaukee. Sorry, we're talking about Miami, but that's a team that like Milwaukee does not want to play in the playoffs. They didn't want to play them last year either, and that panned out and they knocked them out. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard when you just see a few random games from gym teams because they haven't been on national TV a lot either. But
yep. So I don't know. They definitely were overrated going into this season because of that playoff run. I agree with that. I looked up Jimmy Butler. It's funny how people said Jimmy Butler was better than Dame. That recency bias during the playoffs last year drove me crazy. I mean, he's a really good player. Don't get me wrong, but no way you can have him above Dame. Let's wrap up the scores. You had one more game. You had the Jazz. Believe it or not, they have an 18-point win against the Clippers. I don't know who was out for the Clippers. I'll check the box score. The Clippers were without Paul George and were without Kawhi Leonard. They did have Pat Beverly back, but they were shorthanded, and the Jazz are just I don't know. There is for the people that say, "Oh, well, Stotts might win Coach of the Year," it's not happening at this rate. Or at this rate, it's Quinn Snyder, 100%. Because you look at their roster, man, and their roster does not scream 24-5 to you, but that's what their record is. They've been phenomenal. I mean, you got Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Neither one of those guys is like a superstar. They're both all-star caliber players, but neither is a superstar. You got good glue guys. Bogdanovich, Ingles, Royce O'Neal is underrated. Jordan Clarkson, Derek Favors. But really, like, honestly, as a top 7, beyond that, George Niang, not good. I don't know. Shaquille Harrison, not good. Like, they're only 7 deep, bro. Only 7 deep. And their top 7 is not, I don't know. You wouldn't think they would even be a team with home court advantage if you just look at it on paper. But they're 24-5. Just astounding what they've been doing.
Yeah, man, it's a team that shares the ball really well and plays great defense, and those are things that will win you a lot of games.
Yep. Rudy Gobert was underrated going into the season. People were really sleeping on him. Just what he does defensively for them. He's just the best defensive. He's the best rim protector in the league, bar none. Like he's the best defensive big in the league, in my opinion. And you got some good defenders like Ingles, and Bogdanovich has improved defensively. O'Neal, Mitchell, like that is a really good defensive team, and you got enough offense to pull their way offensively too. So just a great two-way team there. They win. They beat the Clippers. Utah, as I said, 24-5. The Clippers fall to 21-9. So with that, let's look at the standings, because we do gain a game on the Los Angeles Clippers. We are in 4th place, a half game ahead of Phoenix for 5th. We are only 2 games back of the Clippers for 3rd. The Lakers are 3.5 ahead of us for 2nd. The Jazz are 5.5 ahead of us. The way the standings sort out, like the top 8 has been pretty consistent the past 2 weeks or so. Utah, Lakers, Clippers have been top 3. Us and Phoenix 4 or 5. San Antonio, Golden State, Denver 6 through 8. Denver is three games behind us for that 8th spot, so still not a ton of separation, but more than a couple weeks ago where everything was super jam packed.
Yep. It'd be great if we hang around the Clippers until we get guys back and are within striking distance to maybe pass them in the standings if they continue to play it safe with some of their main guys throughout the season and focus more on the playoffs.
Yep. Who do you think, out of the 8 playoff teams right now, who do you think is most likely to fall out of the top 8?
That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like most people would probably say the Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs are definitely the most likely. I like the way they've been playing though. Yeah, I'd probably say that the Spurs or Golden State.
Do you think this is the top 8 teams at the end of the season? Or do you think the Mavericks make their way in there? Because everybody else, like Memphis, Sacramento, New Orleans, Houston, OKC, Minnesota, I don't expect either of those teams to make the top 8. The really only outlier there, it seems like, is Dallas. Do you think Dallas will get a top 8 seed, or do you think they're going to remain on the outside looking in?
I think like Luka and Porzingis are too good for them not to at least make a run at some point. But you and I were both not buying the Dallas hype. I thought they'd be a playoff team, but the people that had them as being like a lock for a top 4 seed and stuff and way better than us, I thought that was completely overblown. I thought they kind of overachieved last year, and they lost some of the shooting with Seth Curry. But yeah,
the Seth Curry for Josh Richardson trade was a major L for them, and a lot of people chalked it up to be a win. Seth Curry's so underrated, man. He goes to Philadelphia. Look at Philadelphia; they're the best team in the East. They're 19-10. They're much better than they were last year. Meanwhile, Dallas falls off. I feel like some of that is due to that trade between those two teams, trading, Philadelphia trading Josh Richardson for Seth Curry. Because Seth Curry has been phenomenal so far this season. He's been averaging 13 points per game, but it's his efficiency, which is what is really impressive. Let me look it up here. He is shooting 47% from 3, 49% from the field. It's just crazy to think about. Like, we used to have him off the bench, man. I wish, with Gary Trent Jr. balling, like, I don't know. Would we have really needed him? But my goodness, like, if we had him too, like if we had found a way to lock him up, that would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Has Josh Richardson been shooting the ball well?
Not that I've seen.
Yeah, let me look him up real quick. I am curious as to how he's been doing. He's averaging 12.5 points per game, so about close to Curry's output. But efficiency-wise, he's shooting 42% from the field, under 30% from 3. A lot of Blazer fans want him going into this season. I've always felt like he's been a little overrated offensively and defensively.
Well, it's because we make him look like the best player ever when we play him.
How much did he drop on us last year? Like 35 or something?
Something like that,
So, yeah. Anyway, that's around the NBA. We're going to wrap up the stream. We will be live tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe a little bit later, around 3:30 p.m. Pacific time with Blazers Uprise live. That is over on our second streaming channel. The link is in the description box below. We will be making our all-star picks, me and Eric. Eric, if you could get those to me, just because I'll probably forget, so I'm just going to say it now. If you could get those to me tonight, I will have graphics for those picks. We will pick our starters and our reserves. We'll also do picks against the spread, only 3 games, so not much there, but we will pick the 3 games tomorrow at the start of that stream, and then make those all-star picks. So if you haven't yet subscribed, got a good stream coming up for you guys tomorrow on that second channel. Make sure you go do so. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 before the week is through over there. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Eric, anything you want to touch on, or do you want me to just hit the outro?
Let me just say, people are wanting us to do the post-game interview because I guess Dame said some interesting things, but it's been 2 hours. That's like what we usually like to keep the streams to. So
yep, and somebody Mac Mall said, "Damn, this is a long ass stream." So
maybe we'll talk about. I'll watch it and I'll bring some stuff from that after our All-Star talk tomorrow. That we can talk about on the stream as well. Sorry,
Kyle Wilson, that I missed your donation. I was looking at the scores and all that. Appreciate the $5 donation from Kyle Wilson. He says, "In the words of my karate sense." Since I always say this word
Sensei.
Wrong. Yeah, I don't know why I can't say that word. Load management is for the weak. A cobra like Kobe shows no mercy. Nice.
Yeah, we definitely have that.
Yeah, we all got no load management. I guess Dame is a cobra like Kobe or whatever. Appreciate the donation from Kyle Wilson. Let's hit this outro. As I said, follow us on Twitter at TroyJonesYT, at HoopsJock, at Blazers Uprise YT. Subscribe to that second channel, and we'll finally got to catch up on some full highlight reactions, so channel members be tuned the next couple days. We got a couple days off, so I will react to this game for sure for channel members only. If you want to become a channel member, hit the join button below this video. Shout out to all my channel members. Your guys' membership means a lot to me. Shout out to everybody who donated tonight, and shout out to just everybody in this community in general. Appreciate you guys allowing us to be a part of your night. So until next time, we got a couple days off. We will see you guys tomorrow on that Blazers Uprise live stream, hopefully, if you guys want to tune in for that. And then we'll have the post-game show on Saturday after we hopefully beat the Washington Wizards and after Dame hopefully drops a 50-piece on Russell Westbrook again. Until then, hope you guys have a good rest of your night. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.